The American dream is dead.
They say a wall is medieval. Well, so is a wheel.
I see the disinfectant by injection inside, almost a cleaning.
As you take a shower, the water doesn't come out. So what do? You just stand there longer, or you take a shower longer? Because my hair, I don't know about you, but it has to be perfect.
There's nobody that understands the horror of nuclear better than me.
I'm a very stable genius.
Hold still, Donnie.
I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
Well, we do.
Bing, 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 bing,
Rudy. Good and decent people of YouTube, welcome to Political Drain, TGIF edition. Thank Ganja, it's Friday. Of course, you have me, Bruce Lively, here, along with my illustrious, well-informed, intelligent co-host, Laura Malcolm. How you doing, Laura?
Happy to be here. TGIF, thank Ganja, it's Friday.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. People, you may have just seen, more than likely you just saw, a commercial by the Lincoln Project. And I thought that commercial was amazing. I don't think the Lincoln Project is anything that we need to be supporting outside of the commercials they've been doing. And I'll talk about that another time. But I hope you liked it. What are we talking about first, Laura?
Well, we have the reviews in from the State of the Union, of course, and there's still a bunch of fears about Joe's ratings and likability and approval and all that sort of thing. And I'm not a polls believer. I say, F the polls. F the poll list too. Okay, well, there's this Axios article that came out March 13th. That's kind of strange. There is how Democrats' big vulnerabilities, they're losing Black and Hispanic voters, and how Americans say they lean. But their conclusions seem to be following a lot of sort of racial tropes. For example, Latinos prefer strong macho men, and Asians were upset because of school closures that happened. Oh
my God.
And, Black kids don't know their history enough or weren't around in the times of civil rights.
Luckily for us, Laura, luckily for the people watching this show, you can rest assured, you can go to sleep tonight knowing that it's all bullshit. It's not true. Okay? There is a machine called the grifters of the Republican Party, the right wing, who make money off of making sure their people are propped up, that have been platforming Black voices for Republicans. Okay, the reason why you see it more is because the same people who would not have gotten a play at my barbershop are on YouTube. In the real world, those people are still shunned at the barbecue. Rest assured, white people of the earth, Black folks are not running to Republicans. Okay, there has always been about 10% of men who are conservative thinkers in the Black community and have always wanted to keep whatever you got going. In sharecropping there was 10% of guys, I promise you, that were saying, maybe we shouldn't upset massa and just keep what we got. I promise you, when the civil rights movement was going on, there was 10% of people who were mad at Dr. King because he was bringing violence to the streets, and maybe they should just stay in their segregated schools because what did they need to learn for anyway? There was 10% of people, I promise you, that didn't want to vote because they figured it would just be too hard and inviting problems amongst themselves. Since Thurgood Marshall, the other anti-African-American, W.E.B. Du Bois talked about him in his book, The Souls of Black Folk, how the the main thinkers of the pro-black movement and the movement to how to go from here. They had just finished the whole slavery thing, and they were how can black people move on from here? Thurgood Marshall said they need to pick up their bootstraps. Okay, Thurgood Marshall's idea was that there's no need to learn about Socrates, and there's no need to learn about Plato, because they need to learn how to cook and how to clean or how to do ironing or building. And he may have meant that. And W.E.B. Du Bois said in his book, maybe he really believed that he was the only black person that was smart enough to get an education and everyone else shouldn't get it. Maybe that was his belief and he thought he was doing good. Either way, for us to entertain those types of people is a non-starter. So we don't entertain them. You know who entertains them? Republicans. You know who entertains them? White people who want to believe that black people are okay with them not liking black people. That's it. That's who believes it. Whoever you think Candace Owens is talking to, if you look at the demographics, they're not black. Whoever you think are the top or new, I've seen a bunch of them crop up, people who are joining Republicans and not voting for Republicans, I mean, not voting for Democrats anymore. I guarantee you, either they never voted and they don't care and they're looking for a conspiracy, because there's always those, or they're part of the 10% of the black population that have always been there. The second strongest voting bloc for Democrats is black men. Number one being black women. That hasn't changed. And the real question is, how many of the independent white voter, after voting for Obama, yelling for hope and change, turned and voted for Trump? Why did they do that? That's a very serious question, and that's one I'm willing to engage in. We will not engage in the question of why black people are not voting for Democrats anymore until that number goes above 50%. Because God dog it, we're still only 13% of the population, only 5% of them vote, and only 10% of those people who vote are the ones we're talking about. Stop it. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay, people. Let's talk about why the gigantic independent voting bloc of white people voted for Obama twice and then voted for Trump next. Why the people who've never voted got up out their trailer park and out of their pickup truck to go vote for the first time in 2020 for Trump. How did you get them involved? When we can engage that question, I'd be willing to talk to you. What you got next?
Well, if we can get over and remove the obstacles and booby traps set by the GOP in North Carolina, maybe the Dems and Rodney Pierce could have it. Rodney Pierce had a win there. Maybe they could squeak out some more support if they get out that workers vote, pro-union vote, organize and get the working party behind them. Because otherwise you're stuck with this maniac, Mark Robinson.
Yeah.
He's a piece of work. Of course, he's been around for a while, and he's pushed Roy Cooper to the sidelines. He's just not. Cooper wasn't bad enough, so they had to bring in Mark Robinson.
And that's the exact same thing, isn't it? Like you realize he said at the CPAC, CRT is a problem. He says, the woke left is a problem. He says he wants to go back to the civil rights era where things are segregated because that's when black people were fighting for the right thing, which makes no sense. But let's just say he believes that black people have gotten complacent and that the racism isn't a problem, while also stating that he's the first black lieutenant governor of his state.
Exactly.
Right. So if you're taking these people seriously, the problem is you, not them. Understand that. Now, seriously, as in you think that what they're saying they mean, or what they're saying they believe in, or that somehow their beliefs are rooted in anything other than avoidance of cognitive dissonance. What you find,
Exactly.
yeah. I mean, he's not the only one. Who else we got it invented over here that's been the Oklahoma town guy.
Oh yeah.
The what is it?
Enid City Commissioner faces recall.
Good.
Yeah.
Because they found out that he was with one of the guys with tiki torches and has been a white nationalist for a long time. You got people all the way in Tennessee, the white supremacist in the Tennessee mayoral. What Franklin, Tennessee. Got another white supremacist there. And the reason why it's rising everywhere is simply because the Republicans have enveloped an entire party that believes that trickling down, like peeing on their backs, trickling down the economics, tinkling from the engorged from the engorged pocketbooks of rich people is good for them. The only way you can get that many people to believe that is you have to give them something to hate and be distracted by. Understand the reason why we have Mark Robinsons, black or white, the reason why there's white supremacists in Tennessee is because the machine has run amok. The machine they built on hate and not looking at the people giving them the cookies, right? And taking 100 of the cookies and giving them one and telling them, hey, he stole your cookie. The machine that they've built, number one, will crack if they don't constantly give you the next thing to hate, if they don't constantly give you the next thing to lie about. And then the people who believe it, the reason why
somebody made a good gave a good metaphor. It's like they're balancing their faith versus their vote. You have to compromise your faith for your vote. It's like going to a restaurant and ordering the number 5 meal and you didn't realize it came with a side of shit.
Right. And so that you're 100% right. Think about that. The faith is the main thing.
And you cannot underestimate how much of an authority figure that pastor is and what someone will do for them. 1961, Stanley Milgram came up with what we now call the Milgram Experiment, where, matter of fact, watch this and you'll see what I mean.
X. He then paired each volunteer participant with someone who was also apparently a participant, but was in fact one of Milgram's colleagues posing as a research subject. The teacher, the person who was being studied, and a researcher who was played by an actor went into another room with a shock generator that the teacher had no idea was fake. The learner was asked to memorize a list of word pairs, and the participant was told that he'd be testing the learner's recall of those words and should administer an electric shock for every wrong answer, increasing the shock level a little bit each time. From here, the pretend learner purposely gave mainly wrong answers, eliciting shocks from the participant. If a participant hesitated, perhaps swayed by the learner's yelps of pain, the researcher gave orders to make sure he continued. Even Milgram was surprised by the first round of experiments. About 2/3 of the participants ended up delivering the maximum 450-volt shock. All of the volunteers continued to at least 300 volts. What he repeatedly found was that obedience was highest when the person giving the orders was nearby and was perceived as an authority figure, especially if they were from a prestigious institution. This was also true if the victim was depersonalized or placed at a distance, such as in another room. Plus, subjects were more likely to comply with orders if they didn't see anyone else disobeying, if there were no role models of defiance.
Everybody in my church says it. Everybody who I've been voting for says it. And if it's true that I voted for people who are going to destroy me and this country, then I have to deal with that. No, I'd much rather go, maybe those Nazis had something to talk about. Or maybe it wasn't so bad. And that's how you get it, people. That's how the machine worked that's gotten away from them, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah, the religion is all of it.
It's that slow conditioning and the slow acceptance of, all right then, it's fine, whatever. Just.
Can you imagine from being a child? That's hard.
But it happens all the time. People do walk away from their church, their family's beliefs, their own beliefs.
Yeah,
it does happen, and
it
they
can
have
happen.
to know that there is a welcome spot for them to land.
And if you're thinking that maybe there's something wrong and you don't want to go home with your tail between your legs, just turn the show on. You're looking at one. I am someone who has interimed in the pulpit, and would tomorrow if I was asked if they would let me actually talk the truth. That's the only place I would be. And someone who is a non-practicing Wiccan tell you the same thing.
Yeah, and I don't believe in the devil, and I don't believe in Satan, and I don't believe in whatever that stuff that people think Wiccans believe in. It's completely about the seasons and nature. That's all.
All right, let's go. Let's move on from there. I hopefully I've helped them break that down and give them something that they can. When next time somebody tells you about all the Black people voting for Republicans, remind them how ridiculous it is.
Non-practicing Wiccan pagan, we believe in the goddess or the feminine, the strength of the feminine in the universe, and this being Women's Month, International Women's Month, we've got some good, strong progress with Kamala on her Fight for Reproductive Freedom tour that she's been going to state to state. I think she's been to Michigan. Where else has she been?
So I saw her in Las Vegas, saw her in Michigan.
Yeah, and today she made a historic stop at a reproductive clinic.
Oh.
No president or vice president has ever made a visit to a women's reproductive clinic. So more history breaking, Joe on the picket line and now Kamala on the reproductive health line.
Yes,
and
yes.
She's had some really good soundbite clips, like that this country's got to be one that trusts women, and we're fighting for that with Stormy Daniels and E. Jean and Bonnie Willis all being attacked and having to defend themselves, and for the most part winning.
Yes.
Standing strong, as opposed to these the shameful other side with their cast of Marjorie Trader Ghoul, using the death of a woman as a pawn to shame Biden during the SOTU.
Yes, was that Laken Riley, the whole Laken Riley thing, say her name, which is another use of a term that was meant for a Black person who was killed by a police officer.
Usurped. They usurped. Wow. Anyway. Say her name.
Yeah.
And then the response from Katie Britt, which was so cringe, even the Republicans freaked out and said that, what the hell was that?
Yikes.
In her kitchen breathing breathlessly about,
oh my God.
We're watching you. We see you. We hear you.
Please, we'd like you to see us a little bit less. Take the binoculars off. Stop peeking through my window, crazy lady. You need to get out the kitchen.
Then there was Nancy Mace, who went on Stephanopoulos' show and accused him of shaming her for her rape when he asked her how she could possibly endorse a man who's just been found liable for rape. And it wasn't a criminal court. And how dare you shame me for being raped? What? George is not what?
Well, let's say this right though, Laura. It wasn't a criminal court. Was 5 minutes in, because You're shaming me was the first 5 minutes while she was thinking of a way to get out of the question.
Right on.
Let's remember that. He asked that question and she filibustered for 5 minutes about being shamed. I'm being shamed. You're shaming me, until he kept on bugging like, stop the bull. You're not going to have me feel anything about what you're saying, because I'm not shaming you. I'm asking you how you're voting for someone who shames women. It's not the same thing. And so finally she came up with that excuse.
Well,
So
every accusation's a confession. She was ashamed,
yes,
or she should be.
she should be ashamed of herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're all fake, hypocritical, phony women who work against women's best interests, and put them in contrast with Kamala and her strong stand and going all out to support women and not let anybody forget this Rovember. We've got to get Biden back in there and get the justices we need.
People, listen to what Laura just said. I got nothing else to say about that. You are the what do you call that? The expert here. I mean,
I'm
all I
the
can
woman.
tell you is the proof is in the pudding, people. The proof is in the pudding. If you want to know who's for voters' rights or who's for workers' rights, go to the president who found himself in front of the union. And if you want to know who's for women's rights, go to the vice president who found herself in front of a clinic that deals with women's issues and reproductive rights.
We need you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last on that long list of shaming women who should be ashamed is Lara Tomb Raider Trump. Tomb Raider of the RNC.
Lara Tomb Raider Trump. We're coining it. I love it. She's tomb raiding the RNC. Number one, the reason why that's so good is because the RNC is so full of old people. It might as well be a tomb over there. But yes. Oh man. People, I will just tell you this. A wise man once said on Meet the Press, if we allow Donald Trump to get the nomination of our party, it will be the death. It will destroy our party. That wise man was Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham was 100% correct. They gave the reins to the cannibal monster. And so said, so done. I wish them all the best with Lara Trump. I hope they take all the money from the RNC and give it to Donald Trump and his lawyers. I hope they take all of the money. As a matter of fact, not only should they take the money and give it all to Donald Trump, give it all to him and his, they need to go ahead and raise all the money they can from every other politician who's on the right wing. Take all of their money too. Take it all and give it to him. Give it to him. He'll eat it up like a hamburger, okay? Because they have asked for this. And more importantly, I want you guys to realize that this is the plan of Project 2025. How easy did you think it would be to get one person, two people in place at the head of an office that used to do something good for you if you're a Republican? And how quickly they got everybody fired, and they got now people volunteering who they want to be yes men. If you think it can't happen in the executive office, just as easy. This is the warning, people. I don't care about what the RNC is spending their money on and how dumb they were for making this decision. I do care that we take heed of the warning, of the example of what will happen when he realizes he did it wrong in 2016, he should have the people he wanted already in places that wouldn't have said no, that would have fired entire swaths of staff who are unelected. This is the warning. You only get this one. You only get this one. The RNC is seeing exactly what they've done to themselves. They can't stop that. I guarantee you, if he gets back in, the commercial you saw in the beginning is only the beginning, because this is how easy it is to get rid of entire swaths of unelected people that have been staples of your party and your government for 50, 60, 70 years. It's that easy. You don't believe it's that easy. You think it's hyperbole. You're watching it in real time. The RNC will become the executive branch. What just happened, I can't warn you any. You see it for yourself. That's what I wanted to say about that, Laura.
That's great. Yeah, it's worrisome, but it's not going to happen, man. We're no way. We're gonna screw the polls and all that. We're fighting this to the last second.
Yes.
No way is he getting back in. We're gonna take the House and the Senate too and finish the job with Joe.
Screw the polls is correct. People, I want you to go watch Tom Hartman. One day ago, Tom Hartman has a show that says Trump promises a final solution to America's problem.
A tradition in American politics, the one where major media outlets fixate on some perceived flaw in a Democratic candidate while ignoring a Republican threatening to bring on an end of the Republic. And this time, Mark Sumner notes, with a side order of World War III. But Sumner points out the most frightening thing of all is silence of the American press. And I think that this is, a really important point. And it's absolutely true. That, you go back to 11 days before the 2016 election, the front page of the New York Times, the top half, above the fold, was 3 stories about Hillary's emails because of James Comey's press conference. Comey's press conference sabotaged Hillary Clinton and handed the White House to Donald Trump, along with all of the, I believe it was over 100 million impressions. I'd have to go back and look at the exact numbers that were generated in social media by the Russian troll farms. But the national press just basically pretty much not talking about Trump and very much embracing this idea that there's something wrong with Biden, specifically his age. Justin Rosario, I think, one of the guys, anyhow, writing over at the Daily Banter, Ben Cohen's newsletter. Ben's been a guest on this program many times. Daily Banter is over on Substack also. Writing this morning about how he believes it's a plot that has been going on for years and years and years, that the media makes the most money when you have horse race elections. And so, they spend 6, 8, 9 months leading up to the election trying to lift the underdog, which is almost always a Republican, because Republican policies are just generally not all that popular. Cut taxes on billionaires, allow more poison and pollution in our water and air, give big corporations the permission to wipe out small businesses. Just these Republican, privatize Social Security and Medicare. These policies just are not that popular.
The media has a stake in the horse race. Whoever is least likely to win will be propped up, and whoever is most likely to win will be hit and pushed down and found about the age and the what about and the this, because they make more money when there's a horse race. If things were the truth, if things were as they should be, the only time you would ever hear Biden's name would be when somebody said, "Oh, by the way, he's not trying to kill you." Oh, by the way, he's not trying to endorse Nazis. Oh, by the way, he does believe in voting. Oh, by the way, he does want to keep elections. Oh, by the way, he's not raping women. Oh, by the way, he's not stealing money and laundering it daily. Oh, by the way, he's not taking nuclear secrets to the other guys. Oh, by the way, he's not selling you out daily for his own orange, narcissistic, greedy mouth. Okay? That would be the news of the day for Biden. There is no other news that matters compared to those things. The reason why you're worried about how old he is because they can't stop making that money. There's no horse race here. Those polls are only because they need those polls to look like that. I'm done. We can get this done easy. Easy. Don't let them do the narrative. Get rid of legacy media. Stay with the independent media. We have this done easy, bigly. Okay? We're doing it bigly, people.
Bigly.
Is that how I have to talk to get to you? It's easy. I'll have it done in 4 days. 4 days. Okay? Easy, bigly.
Like you wouldn't believe.
You wouldn't believe. Like nothing else you've ever seen. Stick with the independent media. It's like nothing you've ever seen. We're blowing it up. I'm sorry.
Team Drain. Kick ass.
Anyway, who are we shouting out, Laura?
Well, I want to mention thirdact.org. They're a group of seniors or older people who've started this organization. It's they were their founder, Bill McKibben, pardon me, MCKIBBEN, was on the Joy Reid show today, and they're behind the Biden campaign. I don't know if it was an official endorsement, but they and several other climate and environmental organizations have already gotten behind Biden since the summer, I think. So I want to let people check out thirdact.org and find out more about the work they do. They've got a lot of different campaigns on climate and on all sorts of social issues. Check them out.
Awesome. Yeah. And you say they're throwing some weight behind, or at least they're okay behind the Biden-Harris campaign.
That's right.
Of course. I mean, who else?
Well, definitely.
Right.
What's the alternative? But yeah, no, but they definitely like his policies on environment and fighting back against big oil and so on.
Okay. What else we got?
Angela Brickley has been a contributor, and she's continuing to help and research and help Bruce out with what is she working on now?
Oh yeah, so she's going to be working on. We're looking at a very specific time from what I just talked about from the Southern Strategy, 80s, Reagan era, all the way till now. How was it that the Republican Party had to be the party to give us the first fascist? Because Mussolini was a fascist, I believe, on the left. I think, right?
Mussolini coined the term, invented the term fascism, I believe.
Right. Hitler, of course, was on the right, even though he called his party the Socialist Party. He jailed and abused communists, literally. So he was on the right. But so it could have come from anywhere. And the question is, why was it this party? And a lot of what we were talking about before, I'm sure, will be in that. But she's doing the research on that. And when we do our long form big time political drain show on that, remember that she's the one who did the research and a lot of the writing for it. So thank you so much, Angela, for doing that. And she's still on it, and I can't wait to see what she comes up with.
And Dis will be taking over where I left off on our take on the Young Turks and how they've evolved and begun to let a lot of the original message fail.
But yeah,
We're gonna rip it up. Oh yeah, we're gonna tear it up. Woo!
I love it. I love it. That's it. Are we good to go?
Thank Ganja, it's Friday, Bruce. Have a terrific weekend.
Thank Ganja, it's Friday. People, we'll see you next week. Once the technical difficulties are done with, not only will this show look a lot better and more like HD you're used to, part 4 and 5 and all that stuff will come out then. We can't do anything until that's fixed, and hopefully by next week at least, if not fixed already, we'll be this close to it. All right, guys, stick with us. Thank you so much. The illustrious, the illuminated, the well-informed Laura Malcolm. I'm Bruce Lively saying.
And our great team leader, Bruce.
Hey.
Go Team Drain!